Hello, everybody. This is Orange Ronin Sorax, and welcome to my first ever reaction video. Well, second reaction video, because technically the video that I'm going to react to, I've technically already seen, but it's part of a show, part of a series, so I kind of have to react to it. But I technically already did, but the thing was, the audio was crap. When I recorded it, everything was going fine. I was in the groove. It was my first video. I was so excited. But it's still like, I put so much work into that video. I thought I had some pretty good commentary in it, and I couldn't use any of it. Like, none whatsoever. I couldn't use any of it. Sorry, I was making sure that my mic was turned on because I did that intro twice now. ah, it's just a mess. It's such a mess. But that's fine. We're learning, which is fine. And I don't really expect people to watch this. I would like if people watch this. That would make my day if people watched this and enjoyed it. But YouTube's a big place. YouTube has a lot of people on it. YouTube has its favorites. I don't foresee me being one of those favorites. But, you know, a guy can dream, I guess. And I've always wanted to make a reaction channel. And I enjoy watching them. I enjoy reacting to stuff. So it's like, why don't I just react to my own stuff? Why don't I make my own reaction video? Who knows? I'll crash, I'll burn, but at least I can say I tried. But anyways, so today we're going to be reacting to the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 1987 version of the franchise. I grew up on the 2003 version. I adored it. I loved it so much. Mikey was my favorite. I loved him so much. Not only him, I also really liked his voice actor that they had, because he also voiced my favorite character in Yu-Gi-Oh! And Mikey just gives off a younger sibling vibe. I am a younger sibling. I connected really well with him. It was just a good time. I also watched the 2012 version. I fell in love with the 2007 movie that they had. Like the 2007 movie, if they would have made that into a TV show. Oh.
How I wish they would have made that into a TV show. Because it could have been, voice crack, but it could have been geared towards older teen, young adult area as a cartoon, and it would have worked so well because they're supposed to be older, they're supposed to be a little bit darker, it could have touched on some things of like transitioning from the period of being a child to being an adult, and then being an adult in a world that would dissect them.
I thought that would be cool, but no. But that's okay. I personally have only seen, technically now, 3 episodes of the 1987 TMNT. One was because I was curious about whether or not how they handled Mondo Gecko. So I've seen that episode. I'll still react to it, just because I like to make sure that I react to all of the episodes, and that way I can also kind of like me leading up to that episode, how maybe my thought process has changed about some things, because I know in that season a couple of details did get changed, specifically with Michelangelo's weapon. They couldn't use nunchucks, but they could still use katanas and a sai for some reason. I don't know, that's weird. 2 pieces of wood stuck together is a no-no, but 2 pointy objects that can stab and hurt people and make you bleed. But I kind of want to, I'll watch all the way up till the Mondo Gecko just to see if my thoughts are different for that one. And I already explained, I've seen the first episode because I tried to react to it and it just didn't work and it was just an entire mess. And I'm trying to remember the second episode that I watched, technically second episode, that I watched after Mondo Gecko. Oh, I remember what it was. I wanted to see how different their Leatherhead was compared to the 2003 and the 2012 version. Because I know him as a good guy, but I knew in the 1980s version he was not considered a good guy. He was considered a bad guy. So I wanted to see how they handled introducing him first. And I thought that was kind of interesting. And just like the Mondo Gecko one, I want to see how my thought process has changed from me just like watching the episode as a standalone compared to me watching all of these episodes up until that point and getting to know the characters' personalities a little bit more. Because boy howdy, am I used to slightly more dark, not really dark, but like darker than what the 1987 portrays the turtles as. They're far more goofy than I'm used to, and I know that the 2012 was a little bit more goofy than what I was used to, but it still had some of those dark elements into it and those dark emotions. Whether or not we'll actually get to see some of that in this, just because I know cartoons were more geared towards kids, and I don't know if in that time era if that was like an acceptable thing to do to add in those darker twists, because I have played Shredder's Revenge, so like I know how kind of like how silly some of the shenanigans can kind of get. So it's just kind of going to be different. And I've also seen clips of how different their Casey Jones is, and I am very excited to get to that episode because he's a nutball, and I'm so excited to kind of see my reaction of like how they introduced him and all that and how the turtles react to him, because I don't know whether or not like the small clips that I've seen of him, if they're from like his introduction video or like when he's introduced, because I know in the 2003 one he was introduced within the first season, so I don't know if Casey Jones is introduced within the first season or not. I'm hoping to go through all of the seasons. I know there's more than 5 for a fact, so they already beat out the 2012, which is kind of sad because the 2012 was building up to be something good, and then it just kind of just how some companies are nowadays with some of their cartoons, especially if they become popular and they're like, I don't like that this is becoming more popular than our popular thing, so we kind of have to boot it or stop it. And it's just a time. It's just a time. But hopefully, I'm hoping that I like this. I don't mind slightly goofy things, but I do have very bad secondhand embarrassment, and it would probably start eating at me if they start doing something that really embarrasses the character, and I'm just like, oh, ooh. And there were some things in this first episode that I reacted to that was like, oof, that really, that's really showing your age, oof. And I'll probably point those out again, reacting to it a second time. I probably also just blew into the mic, so I'm so sorry for people who are listening with headphones. But unfortunately, I don't have any other mic. I'm sorry. I'm just starting, okay? I don't got money for the good stuff. But I lost my train of thought. But I think now is a good time to transition over to the reaction video, and hopefully you guys enjoy it. I'm hoping to get episode 2 out. I'm not going to promise the time because all the other times that I've promised a time, it's fallen flat. So your boy is just not going to do that. Just not going to promise a time. I'll only promise that there will be a second episode. That's all I'm going to promise. But I digress. Let's hop right into the video and see how well April feels being introduced to giant talking turtles. Because, I don't know how I would feel. I would hope I would be excited because they seem really nice. But people don't like change, which isn't always a good thing. But I digress. Let's hop into the video, which I probably will cut out after this initial period because, copyright, save time. But I just love upbeat songs, okay? And I am going to jam to this cuz it's just fun. You can hate that. Like, come on. Turtle Tracks. New York. Weird seeing it before 2001. No, I thought this was funny. They didn't have the right tools to be able to do that.
It's something we take for granted.
Oh, that poor guy.
But occasionally others sit up and...
So, in these older cartoons, I always notice that they have round TVs in like the shows. Was that actually a thing? Were round TVs actually a thing in that time period? Because like I don't think I've ever seen a round TV like that like working like ever. I think maybe I might have seen one when I went to Disney World, but that's probably the only time that I've seen one. But if any of you have a round TV, let me know if it's like from the 1980s area, like if this was like a common thing. Because I was not alive around that time period, so I don't know.
take notice.
Okay, another thing. I know I just paused it, but they were just showing April talking and then showing a clip next to her as a mass comm major. I should know what that's called, but I'm currently blanking on the word right now. But like they showed her holding a piece of paper and they showed her having a backdrop and everything. But obviously she's out in the middle of the field. I know, it's a cartoon, but still it's just like they could have they didn't have to show her sitting there in front of like a yellow screen reading a paper when she's obviously out in the field, and they could have just I don't know, maybe it was too much to draw a background of a building or something. They could have just drawn her in the street or something. But anyways, that's just me being nitpicky.
Goods are high-tech. The method by which they were stolen is not.
These incisions could only have been made with a samurai sword.
Okay, I'm sorry. I commented on this the first time I watched this, but it's like, how does he know that? How does he know that it's a samurai sword that made those cuts? Yes, it's possible that he is a sword enthusiast, but I just don't see how that is a conclusion you can come up with. Like, that just yes, it's a cartoon. I know. I get that. I know. But that's just so they literally could have been made by anything that can cut a thing like that. Claws. Other sharp things like, I don't know, a knife. Nope, samurai sword. Specifically a samurai sword. Sure. Sure. But you guys are going to love next how he deduces who did it.
Look at this rope. This can only be the work of ninjas, the ancient band of Japanese warriors.
And how can you tell that from the rope, Professor?
Well, look for yourself. It's made in Japan.
I also commented on this the first time I watched it. That's a big jump there, buddy. Ninjas. Yes. because it's from Japan, it has to be ninjas. Or whoever got the rope bought it and it was imported from Japan. I don't know, dude. I don't know. April called you a professor, so I guess you got the degree. Like, oof. It just hurts. It hurts so much.
Ninjas, a 1,000-year-old clan of assassins. Is it possible they're here in the city? For it may be the next target of these mysterious burglars. I'll report as soon as anything develops. April O'Neil, Happy Hour News. Back to you, Jeff.
April, we've got $1 million in state-of-the-art equipment here. I'm not gonna let it sit around in the street in the day.
How does he have a camera on them? How? How? Just how?
End of the night.
We're the news media, for crying out loud. Who'd want to hurt us?
Careful what you
them,
say, April.
maybe?
The camera! Get to the camera!
I think I left the iron on in my apartment.
Yeah, I just remembered roller derby.
That little smirk.
Here, catch!
I will say, those cameras are super heavy. So not only her throwing it, like, that it weighed nothing, and then him catching it and not falling over is very impressive. Because I can tell you, those cameras are so heavy that usually the people that are holding it have to sometimes wear a special vest to be able to hold the weight of that camera so that they don't destroy or fatigue their arm, because they're just so big and so heavy. I would know, I held one for an entire basketball game when I was in school, and it was just, I thought I was going to die. I really did, because I made the mistake of telling the person that came to change out with me that no, I was okay, because technically there was supposed to be 2 people for each camera. Well, my person got taken because the 2 other people that were doing the other camera were messing around so much that the person that was supposed to be helping me had to take over their camera because they got kicked out by the director. Oh, it was so bad. And the worst part was that we were doing that for our class. So could you imagine getting in trouble and getting kicked out of a game and not allowed to work with the equipment to the point that, like, it'd be detrimental to your class? I don't know. Maybe I was just a goody two shoes. Maybe I was just a boring boy. But, like, come on. Like, and it was a live sporting event that people were trying to watch at home because of the location that we were at. It's very far away and kind of isolated. So, like, the news station at that time literally broadcasted out of the school that I went to. So it was just kind of like, it was kind of embarrassing, not gonna lie. But those cameras are super heavy, and the fact that she just chucked it like a champ. Good on you, April. Good on you. It's like, did she even fit down there? Like, insane. She fit, but those goons didn't.
Sign off time, April O'Neil.
Whoa, weird looking dudes. Yeah, and they dress funny too.
Thanks. You're not human.
Yeah, we're dealing with a real mind here.
You're turtles.
What the devil?
How? How did he have a camera down there? How did he see that? I asked the exact same question the first time I saw this. How? How is he having all of these cameras in these locations to be able to watch them? It's just so weird. So weird. And her just fainting. Just bam, on the floor. to be fair, 2003 April did the exact same thing. And I guess this April did run face first into a wall, which you'd think she would have a little bit more damage on the schnauz because of it, but I digress.
I wish she'd stop doing that.
Could you imagine though? Because I don't know if any of you know. Well, this literally came out in 1987. It's fine. If you don't want this to be spoiled, you can skip this part. But literally, this version of Splinter was human. Could you imagine this is like his first time interacting with another human being since he mutated? And just having her faint at the sight of you? Oh, I feel so bad for him because, like, all he did is, like, some hot tea, and then he smiled, and then she's like, oh no, and she fainted. Which I get was also, I think, a trope in, like, the 1980s for female characters, which was stupid. But I was just like, I feel so bad for him because this is the first time he's had human interaction, and she just faints on him.
Come on, lady, wake up!
Oh my god.
Hey, it's tough trying to carry on a conversation with you, you know?
Perhaps some food would aid the young lady's powers of speech.
So polite.
Pizza time!
Aw, Mikey.
Yeah, give me a slice of anchovies and peanut butter.
This is seriously grossing me out.
She talks.
And their pet rat? Who the
Pet
heck
rat.
are you guys?
Pet rat.
Perhaps I can best explain.
And he's
The story of my young
not even offended that she just called him a pet rat.
friends and I is really the story of a man named Hamato Yoshi. In Japan, there is an
I say, throw the bomb out.
Oh, look at the baby turtles. I got so excited when I saw this part. How could you?
until one day, some new friends came down the drain. York. Yoshi lived happily with his turtles and rats.
They're so cute. Look at him.
Bingo. You get the feeling all this is starting to lead somewhere?
It caused whoever touched it to take on the form of whatever animal they had most recently been in contact with.
So technically, Yoshi here should actually be a turtle by that logic. Yes, he was just recently also with the rats, but he just recently touched the turtles and cleaned them off. So if he would have stepped into the mutagen and not touched the turtles, it would make far more sense that he would become a rat because those would have been the last thing that he touched. But because he touched the turtles, he should technically be a turtle. The writer in me is screaming.
The turtles started becoming human. They had most recently been with Yoshi, nicknamed me Splinter, for obvious reasons. I, in turn, named them after my favorite Renaissance painters. Donatello, whose simple wooden bull can disarm any adversary. Raphael, no sword on earth can withstand his sai.
So I pointed this out when I first watched it, but it sounds like somebody completely different said the word sai for Master Splinter. Could have just been how he said it. Could be. But it sounds so different, and it sounds so weird compared to like the rest of the entire sentence that it just sounds like they audio clipped somebody saying the word sigh and just put it in there. Because like maybe, I don't know, maybe the voice actor for Splinter just forgot the word sigh or stumbled over it, and they're like, we need to fix this now. I just think that's so funny that that word sounds so different than the rest of the entire sentence.
And we ain't going back.
Interesting. I just thought about what Raph just said. Half their lives. So technically in this version, because compared to the comic that this is based off of, they were 13. All the other renditions, from what I've been able to see and read, they are at least 15. That would have made them at least like in turtle years. I don't know how turtle ages work compared to like dogs and cats and stuff. They would have at least been about 7 or 8 years old technically, which I think is kind of interesting to think about. And I know that, like, yeah, when they mutated, they were shown as being teenagers already. But at that time, when Yoshi ended up getting them, they weren't inside of a glass bowl, so quite possibly they could have been with him for years already, for a couple of years already, and then the mutagen fell while he was out feeding the rats. Because we don't know how long Yoshi was down in the sewers and how long he had the turtles before the mutagen found them. They don't explain that. At least not in this episode. They don't explain that.
She's been gone almost a day. Well, it's not like she was in
Ninja thieves for her, and perhaps she could help us find a key.
Can I just say, whoever voiced Leo, I really like his voice. I don't know why, but he just has such a Leo voice that I really, really like it. And I don't know why. I just really like his voice. It seems very fitting for a Leo to have this voice, is all I'm going to say.
Cure for Splinter's condition.
If you get me my story.
She can get into places we can't.
Well, I guess anything's worth a try. No matter.
It's also super weird hearing Raph's voice after watching the 2012 TMNT. Because, like, I don't know if any of you guys know, but the Donnie in the 2012 is voiced by Rob Paulson, who voices Raph. So it's just like, it's just so weird hearing this voice, this snarky voice coming out of Raph instead of Donnie. Because Donnie was pretty snarky in the 2012, not gonna lie. But, like, not this snarky and not rude as they call him. But it's just so weird hearing this voice coming out of Raph instead of Donnie.
How? I didn't get such a...
I want to know why it matters to him so much whether or not they're reptiles. How did he know that they were going to be reptiles that beat them up? Obviously he had cameras down there, so obviously he saw that they were reptiles. So, like, why was he asking them? Because he would have been able to see the entire fight with how the camera was angled from what we were shown on his gigantic screen. So he would know that it was turtles that beat them up if you would have been watching the cameras at that point. So it's just like, Aaron, why does he want the turtles? How does he know that he needs the turtles? Like, well, so many questions and so many holes. I want to fill these holes. The writer in me wants to fill these holes so bad. And I only think that it's fitting that I am drinking out of my Ghost Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle blender bottle. No, I'm not sponsored. You know how funny it would be? First ever reaction video. Yeah, I'm sponsored. No, I'm not that fancy, and I don't ever expect myself to become that fancy to be sponsored. I just thought it was funny. I also have, still not sponsored, but I do have my Ghost pre-workout next to me. I just haven't, this one is my second one. I have one that's opened already. And I also got my dad into drinking, I think he's drinking the Leonardo one. The only one I wasn't able to get was Donnie. So I was able to get Raph, Leo, and Mikey, and 2 Mikeys. But I wasn't able to get Donnie, and I'm very upset about it, but I just didn't have the funds. If I had the funds, I would have gotten you, my boy. I promise. I promise I would have gotten you. Even if, for some reason, your version of the pre-workout didn't have any caffeine in it, even though you are the one that's usually seen drinking coffee.
Good look, you know?
Get out, you cretin! They could have been turtles. I must know.
All right, let's check out
Why?
the spot
Why
where
do
we
you
fought
need to
those
know?
punks. Maybe they left a clue behind.
Where did she pull that from? To be fair, she's in New York, so she's got to have that.
We're gonna get nowhere unless we do something about your looks.
Jewel vampire. I didn't even notice that before.
Yes, looking at you.
Get the god funk to do a ninja's
Pizzas. Eat in good health.
Eat in good health. I can't believe they actually were willing to make those pizzas.
Listen, what
that
happened
look,
to
though.
April?
When I saw that look, I was like, oh my god, did he spike the pizzas? But it's just like, who looks like that? Like, why would you give a look like that if you didn't spike the pizzas, okay? Not that I would want to spike pizza, but come on.
I guess you wasn't hungry.
Manhattan Security Services.
How did she know to go
Security
here?
Services?
I got another scientific equipment company lined up, just waiting to be cleaned out.
Why would you say that out loud? Why?
I found him. Send a camera crew to...
Who are you talking to? And why did they not call the police when you suddenly were cut off mid-sentence?
I'm concerned about April.
What is it, Raphael? A threatening note? Worse than that.
It's the check.
I mean, that is pretty scary.
Okay, April, where are you hiding?
Careful, Raphael. It could be a trap.
Yep, it's a trap.
Let's rock! I know that fighting style. It is the foot technique.
How are you watching? How?
B. Hamato Yoshi still lives.
Oh, they got lasers. How nice.
What the heck?
Run, Leo, run!
Let's show them the turtles know how to party.
And how strong are they to knock over this brick wall? And she's unfazed. And then they dance. And we dance if we want to.
There?
Like this. Where is everybody?
Well, it's late. They probably went home.
So,
Raffy,
they are
no.
up above. But who are they?
Hey, look, an Acme Technologies digital video transceiver.
This is big league gear. Whoa, who's the dude with the metal face?
Why would you take that
Are the turtles?
two-way camera? Like, why would you have the two-way on if you're watching them? Like, and where did those screens come from? I have so many questions. These are the questions that I was asking while I was watching yesterday, and it's just like mind-boggling. It's like that they could get away with stuff like this. Like, it doesn't make any sense, but it's a cartoon, I know, from the 1980s. But still, my writer brain is like, oh.
Hamato Yoshi's turtles! They must
How did you
not
know?
discover my technodrome.
How did you know that they were turtles? They were Yoshi's turtles. How did you even know Yoshi had turtles?
It can only be one.
I know, stairs are hard.
They must be heading for the Technodrome.
Stop the turtles at any cost!
I owe you one.
He said the thing!
Move! Come on!
I've definitely noticed that, like, sometimes they'll re-show clips too, which I know is probably just like to pad out time and to save them money. But it's just interesting because I know that they've shown that scene already a couple of times for the water rising. But I mean, it makes sense because they're in a building and most floors would probably be laid out the same. So it makes sense that they'd be able to do that. But it's just kind of interesting.
We've got to get out of here.
So much water. So much water. And it just explodes.
I'd say the ninja crime wave is a washout.
This is what the ninja robots wore.
As I feared, it is the uniform of the Foot Clan.
See?
My old enemy, Orokusaki, must be nearby.
Relax. Everything about that place.
That's an understandable assumption right there because he had evidence and he knew that Saki took over for him. So, like, he's able to put two and two together. But sometimes when these characters put two and two together, it's like, how did you come up with that? Outside of the fact that the writers know what's going to happen next.
It went straight down the drain. We do.
Like what? I should have guessed. Oh well. Give me a slice of the bananas and sausage, will ya?
At least she's a good sport about it. So, my thoughts on this. It was fun. There was definitely a lot of things that showed its age heavily. I don't think this type of writing would fly anymore for cartoons, at least not for very long. Just because cartoons have come such a long way with their scripts and their stories, that having like these types of areas where they're just automatically assuming stuff correctly is just kind of like without the evidence, like that dude who's like, these were made by a samurai sword. Gotta show the evidence, my dude. Gotta show the evidence outside of like these cuts that just look like cuts that could have been made by anything. Or the assumption that just because the rope was made in Japan, it's automatically ninjas. Like, that's not how this works. Gotta show, like, maybe show some throwing stars, maybe show some kunais, maybe show, like, I don't know, a symbol, a specific symbol, I don't know, maybe a symbol of a foot to show that, like, hey, this is a known ninja clan. They're the ones that are doing it. So we know for a fact that ninjas are doing it. Because, like, it's obvious that people are already getting robbed by the Foot in the Foot uniform. And apparently that clan has been around for thousands of years. So people would know it, especially in Japan. So, like, if they came over to America, the Japanese American population would probably be able to put two and two together. And they could have even had a professor who has a degree in Japanese history or something, be the one that's looking at the stuff to be like, oh yes, this is legit stuff. It's not just planted, it's just not fake. But that's getting very into like the writing side of it, because it's also just like, this is a cartoon that was put on air in the morning for kids to watch. And at that time, cartoons weren't that deep. They are now. And by George, someday I hope that I'd be able to write a screenplay for something like this. But it's just like, it gets my writer juices going when there's such like continuity stuff that isn't there. Specifically when also the art isn't helping show what they're talking about either. Because like the artist could have easily have added in more stuff outside of just like the rope, and like having them looking around more and having like weapons or something. And like April's little snarky comments about Pet Rat definitely would have, like, if animated today, would have gotten a bigger reaction out of Splinter, I'm sure, and probably out of the Turtles. This version of Splinter and the Turtles is more heavily relying on like student-teacher type of relationship rather than father-son that a lot of the other versions cling to. Specifically like the comic, the 2003, the 2012, I know the 2016 movies, and the 2018 were heavy on them being more family oriented, and even a lot of the newer comics too, which just makes a lot more sense. And I feel like they could have gone that route with this, and I don't specifically know why they didn't take it that route, where they just strictly made him stay their teacher rather than like a parental figure. That's also because like I said, I grew up in the 2003. I'm used to Master Splinters calling the Turtles my sons, and every once in a while the Turtles calling him father. I know this is a different time period. It wasn't a norm yet. And this was supposed to be kind of just like goofy, silly stuff. But it was a fun time. And even though I technically have already seen this I did giggle again at some of the jokes that I giggled at yesterday. I don't know, I'm just a sucker for one-liners. Sucker for one-liners, breaking the fourth wall. I find them to be a good time. Sue me. I have a very simple sense of humor, I guess. Not my fault. Not my fault. Okay, maybe a little bit my fault. But anyways, this was a great time. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it. Let me know down in the comments below if you guys did. Maybe even tell me what you guys enjoyed about this. Maybe what you guys would also change. But overall, like, I don't know. I thought the jokes were still kind of funny. I would have to watch the second episode and watch a little bit more to see whether or not this specific version of April gets on my nerves or not. But it was kind of nice that in the end she came around. And now I'm kind of curious about, what did she say? A banana and sausage pizza? I'm kind of curious. Not gonna lie. I love my pizza. And I did just buy a TMNT pizza cookbook. I don't think that was one of the recipes in there though. It'd be kind of rad if it was though. So anyways, I'm going to leave you guys here. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next episode. Bye guys!